What kind of businesses are motivated to earn a profit? We're going to answer that great question in this video. Okay, let's rock. Let's talk about all the various businesses and which ones are motivated to earn a profit. Okay, so remember, the number one goal of business should be to make a profit, to make money. And if you've got a business and that's not your goal, well, you're probably not making a lot of money, if I was to guess. And secondly, you need to understand that if you don't start making a profit soon, you run the risk of actually going out of business. And nobody wants to do that, right? You've probably put in a year, several years, maybe a decade or more into your business, and it's not making the money you want it to make, or it's not making any money. Well, guess what? We got to change that. Now, we're talking about what kind of businesses. The answer is truly most to all businesses are the ones that are motivated to make a profit. Now, let's talk about two different types of businesses. You got nonprofits and you've got for-profits, okay? So just call them nonprofits and then profit companies, okay? We'll call them those two. Now, contrary to what most people think, non-for-profits, actually, a lot of them make a ton of money. It's kind of crazy. Like when I was a kid growing up, and I always heard about all these charities like the American Cancer Society, right? And you know, they have, here in Kansas City, we've got Harvesters. There's a lot of different companies out there that are non-for-profits. Just my thoughts, my perception as a kid was that they don't make any money. That they've got this organization together of a bunch of volunteers, and they got a bunch of rich people that just give them a bunch of money, and then they do great things with that money, right? Wrong. Well, they do great things with the money. I'm not trying to take that away. They're trying to do great things, right? Maybe do cancer research or feed homeless people. Great causes. But they're in it to make a profit, okay? So don't be fooled by the fact that someone's a non-for-profit, that maybe they don't have a motive to try to make some money. There's nothing wrong with that. This is America, for God's sake. This is a capitalistic country, you know, we're trying to all have the American dream and work hard so we can all save up and give our families better lives and have nicer things and travel, all the fun stuff, right? So that all takes money. And so we've learned that. So having a business, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit, either type of business is going to be motivated to make a profit. Now, if you've got a business like we talked about earlier that's not performing well, one of the things you could start doing is dissecting your business to try to see what expenses you have going out the door. Whether this is a non-for-profit or a for-profit, you can do this. Jot everything down on a piece of paper. Find out what is everything that's going out the door. What's all the money that I keep, all the checks I keep writing? What's all that money for? Why do I actually need that? Do I need to spend that? Do I need that many employees? Do I need that many people actually helping me out with all these tasks? You'd be surprised that if you, especially during tough times, you know, recessions, you know, depressions, economic crises like COVID-19, things like that. If you're a business owner, I don't care if you're a nonprofit or a for-profit, you've got to slim down. You've got to find unnecessary costs and you got to cut them because you got to get through these tough times. In tough times, you got to save the ship. Right? Think of your business as a ship that's sailing in the water. And every dollar that's going out is like a leak in your ship, okay? If you get too many leaks, your ship's gonna sink. That means you go out of business. You go underwater in a sense, right? Don't do that. And the way you do that is by controlling expenses. That's the single biggest reason that companies go out of business. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, some businesses get to a point where the whole staff quits and then you got one person that's doing a massive amount of work and they can't find people and they can't hire enough people fast enough, so they start losing customers, things start getting bad, then the owner quits and now there's nobody and the business goes out of business. There are instances like that. But a big reason, I remember my father always told me this. He always used to just drill this into my head. And this is coming from somebody that had his own business. So he struggled. He had his own engineering firm. And so he struggled as well. And one thing I remember is he always used to tell me, keep your expenses low, control your expenses. And he's right. It's the whole Ben Franklin thing, right? A penny saved is a penny earned. So you don't necessarily have to go out and make more money. You can actually save money, existing expenses, cut costs, and actually make more money simply by doing that. And I remember when we were going through any of the tough times, especially in my trading card business and my We Buy Gold business, because those are the longest, businesses that I've had for the longest time. We've gone through cycles in those businesses. So we've gone through the tough times. We've gone through those crazy, almost scary times where we might go out of business. Multiple times in those businesses, we had to make adjustments. And it always came back to what Dad said. Control your expenses. Keep your expenses low. Lean and mean in a sense, right? And so we would go through and we'd literally take a pen and we'd jot down all the expenses we got and we'd total it up. Say, oh my gosh, our monthly expense, we called it our monthly nut to crack, right? It's like cracking a nut to get into the, to be able to eat the nut, right? So you can enjoy the food. To crack that nut every single month, that's the dollar amount that we had to crack, right? And that's just to break even. And the tough thing about that is sometimes your sales and your income aren't even enough to do that, which means now you're losing money. So now you've got to get creative and you got to do two things, right? You got to go out and you got to get more business. You got to find business, whether it's online, local, doesn't matter. You got to go out there and you got to get extra business. And at the same time, you got to find these unnecessary expenses and get rid of them. I mean, I remember like little things, like we'd have, direct TV or we'd have cable and we'd love to have it playing in our business. But when you get to the point you can't afford it, maybe they're charging us 60 or 80 bucks a month. In a year, that might be $1,000. You got to get rid of it. Sorry, you can't afford it. And you start going down a lot of unnecessary things like that. Controlling costs, because you've got to stabilize your business. You got to plug all the holes in your ship, right? You got to get to a point where you're not underwater, where you're not going out of business. And then hopefully you've been also working, like I said, on the other side, bringing in new customers and increasing your sales, which would increase your revenue, increase your profits, right? So both types of businesses, when you say what kind of business, is motivated to earn profits, both businesses are seriously incentivized and motivated to earn a profit for multiple reasons. They don't want to go out of business. They want to make money and all these things like that, right? Nobody wants to go out of business. I mean, besides being a blow to the ego, nobody wants to take that much of a financial hit. Nobody wants to tell all their friends and family that they failed, right? Nobody wants that. It's depressing. Nobody wants to go through that. So if you understand that your number one motivation, I always say, be passionate about whatever you're doing. Always be passionate, okay? And make sure that no matter what's happening, that you're always focused on how you can maximize, right? How new concepts that you can add in, new trends, new revenue streams, right? Whether it's you're selling online and you've got your own website and you say, hey, we're going to expand. We're going to also sell on eBay. And maybe we're going to create an Amazon store and sell on other platforms. Who knows, right? Maybe you don't have a retail store and you said, wow, my city could support this. I'm going to sign a lease agreement. I'm going to open up a retail store or something like that, right? So look for all those channels. It's like a bunch of crankshafts that run a motor. You want as many cylinders going as you can, right? So you have a beefy motor, right? A lot of horsepower in your business. So if one of them breaks, one of them blows out, you've still got plenty of other cylinders running. And those basically are represented like streams of income, right? So the more places that you can generate customers, the more profit you can make. Okay, everybody, I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe as well. And if you've got any ideas for business, anything that I haven't covered, please comment below and send me your suggestions, and I'll do my best to give you as much knowledge as I can. And remember, in life and in business, it's not easy for anybody. Business can get really tough. And just remember, never give up, push hard, keep pushing, and be the hustler.